However, I saw the setup and I just knew that this was going to work like 99% of the time, and I just had to take it. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another episode. This week, however, is a red week recap. This week obviously is not as exciting as a green week, but I am committed to being fully transparent and showing my recap every week. What's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in. Again, please click that like button. It does really help me out, and I really do appreciate it. Unfortunately, this week has been a red week, and I was down almost $1,500 And as much as it sucks losing money, I do believe that losses are actually your biggest learning tool, and those bad trades are going to be the ones that actually teach you to become a better trader. My last red week was the last week of March, and that was my biggest loss I've ever had on a single trade. And as much as that really sucked, and as much money as I had lost, and how tough it was to get myself back in the groove, to regain my confidence and to rebuild that account, I strongly do believe that that loss is actually making me a better trader today. And the reason is because those huge losses where you make big mistakes are those trades that you come up with your rules for continuing your trading. And before that loss back in end of March, I always traded without any hard stops. Basically, I just used support resistance lines and mentally knew where my risk was set. However, I actually had to manually go and click that button to get myself out of the trade. Now, initially, I thought that was a really smart idea because some of these times where you put your risk, the stock will hit those levels and go the exact way that you wanted it to go. So I thought I could become a really good tape reader and just read level 2 and really just understand and kind of watch what the stock is doing specifically at those levels where my risk is, and then be able to decide if I should cut it or keep it. But after I had this huge loss, I realized that I cannot do that anymore because I'm still a very emotional trader, and even though I've been trading for a year and a half now, I'm still gonna have those days where I don't cut my loss. And so to prevent that, what I needed to do is to implement hard stops. So these stops have actually helped me become a better trader in this month of April, and the losses that I did incur this week would have actually been a lot greater if it wasn't for my hard stops, and maybe I would have even turned out being completely red in the month after this week. But because I was using those hard stops, I didn't allow myself to have a huge loss that I couldn't recover from. Now, the other two losses that I had this week were from trying to short a stock, which clearly wasn't over, or it just had a lot of fake outs. And basically, I was shorting PSTI, hoping for the first red day, and every single time that I shorted it, I was squeezed out. The stock ended up having a lot more strength than I thought it would, and it just kept going. But after looking into the stock and some other previous stocks that I've seen that kind of act this way, I realized that a stock that's at its 52-week highs, no matter how far it's extended, it can still keep going higher and higher and higher. It'll still be choppy. It can still have small, tiny red days and then keep going high the next day. As opposed to, a normal stock that's not at its 52-week highs, which has, the third or fourth day that it's been going up, has a lot greater chance of actually coming back down the following day. And after realizing that this week, I put a rule in place for myself that I'm not going to be shorting a stock that is at its 52-week highs. So instead, I'm going to be waiting for the backside of the move. Basically, once the stock actually does have its first red day, I don't touch it. But after it has the first red day, I'm going to be waiting to short it on the bounce, because then I actually have some kind of risk to risk off of, and I know that most likely this is already on the backside. So without making this intro way too long for you guys to sit through, let's get right into these trades. All right, y'all, so here we go. Week of 14th through the 17th. Let's see what I'm down on the week. Down $14.95, so $1,500 down on the week. Not my biggest red week. However, this is pretty disappointing. I know what I did wrong. I'm going to improve on that the following week. And we still have about a little less than half of the month left in April. On Monday, I lost $519. On Tuesday, I made $85. Wednesday, I made $66. Thursday, lost $510, and Friday, lost $617. Now, the reason that these are kind of inconsistent, where I have super tiny green days, is because I actually used my F1 trade account, which is at about like $1,000. Because I've been doing that, because I've been trading with two accounts that are completely different in size, I've been having my personal stats kind of skewed a little bit. But my win rate has gone down slightly to 67%, unfortunately, after this week. My average winner is $493. Average percent gain is 11.61. Average loser $579. Average loss minus 7.49%. And as you can see, these are a little bit skewed just because I've been, using 2 different sized accounts. And then I actually took some long trades, which was actually surprising, but they were just such good opportunities, and I knew that they were gonna work, so I just had to take them. So on Monday, it lost 519 bucks on ASTC. Now this was a bad trade, and I know this not something that I should have taken. And honestly, I was just over trading, and I just wanted to make money. Really, that's what it came down to. But I entered this at 303.4, exited at 314.9 for a 3.79% loss. So if we look at this day here, this was the bounce short, basically just shorting into this resistance of, almost 50 million, which is pretty heavy. As you can see here, the day before I played it in the afternoon, this had started squeezing up. I don't remember if there was any news or not, but basically the next day I was looking for any kind of spike into resistance. Now, here's what I did wrong. The next morning, it gapped down. It had pretty much given up all its gains, and I still shorted it. Basically shorting into the bottom, which was stupid. Even though, yeah, sure, it could have offered 10-15% of downside, but, the risk is that it could have gone, 30, 40, 50%, so not very good risk reward. And here's how I ended up trading it. So it ended up kind of just failing and bouncing, and I was kind of just stuck in this channel. And because I didn't really see anything else to trade, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take the shot, I'm gonna gamble on this. And so I kind of just took a short into one of these pops, risking this consolidation kind of breakout level, or maybe this high of day, and just honestly, this was a gamble. I was like, 50% chance it goes up, 50% chance it breaks down. So not a very good trade, and going along with what I said earlier about how this is already at the bottom. But yeah, obviously ended up breaking out and kind of just went higher. I mean, didn't really do much, but still a bad trade. Now on Tuesday, this was SRNE, and I mean, I know I previously said I didn't want to use my F1 trade account anymore for the time being. However, I saw the setup, and I just knew that this was going to work 99% of the time, and I just had to take it. And I didn't have any trades in my big account, so I had to use this small F1 trade account. Basically, it made 85 bucks, entered at 264, exited at 293.5 for an 11.17% win. And this is just like a breakout setup. Took a small $700, $800 position. Had this 3-day kind of run from its lows. And then it just kind of started consolidating and going sideways, and its sell-off was on very minimal volume, and it was holding right at its highs. Now, when I saw this starting to come up, having a couple green days, holding and then starting to come up, I just knew and the volume started coming back in. Now, this is just an absolutely ideal setup for a breakout. Daily breakout, first of all, not just an intraday, but on the daily, had a run, held its high, low volume sell-off, and volume started coming back in and started going back higher. So I took this overnight here at 264. I thought it had room, up to maybe 350. My goal was 310, 330 to sell into. And it did go up, but it had, I guess, resistance at $3. There was a seller. I sold right into the $3 seller, made 11%, and took my money and ran. So this is a perfect breakout setup. I mean, it could have been better if this was a more volatile stock and this had a lot more room to the upside, but still a very good setup. Again, on Wednesday, I didn't have a day trade in my big account, so I was using my small account, and this was another setup that I just knew was going to work. And so this, I traded UAVS. Now, this is a setup that I've been tracking for about a month now, and this had all the indicators it needed to squeeze higher. And because I've been tracking it, and now I understand how the setup works, I can start to play with small size, and so that's what I did. So my entry was at $1.16, my exit was $1.50 for 29.31% gain. This is absolutely nuts. This is why I am so intrigued by going long, because you can make so much money on the long side. You can't. It's so tough to make 30% on a short side. It's so tough. But going long, you can make way more than this. You can make 100% on your position in like several hours with these small cap stocks. But either way, I saw the setup. I've been tracking it for about a month now, and I kind of just had an idea of how to trade it, and so I took the trade again. Obviously, I wish I had my bigger account to take this trade in, because if I made 30% on $10,000, I would have made $3 grand, you know, so that would have been awesome. And unfortunately, this didn't have any, you know, continuation on day 2, but it still offered a very good opportunity on day 1. So that's what it looks like on the daily, and this is what it looked like intraday. So basically, it gapped up and was holding near its highs, and it was actually squeezing into the open. It had a failed morning spike, and then it had a second attempt at a morning spike and failed as well. Basically, it pulled back, and it looked like it was just probably going to end up fading the rest of the day, but it reclaimed VWAP. And the reason I played is because if you look here on the day, it had 64 million shares of volume. This was a low float, a 7 million float, and so it rotated its float like 7 times by the end of the day. And so that's the kind of setup I'm looking for an afternoon move. So basically, I just bought this dip here. Again, I wish I had accumulated more on these dips here. You know, there's 1 dip, 2 dip, like 3. I could have accumulated on, you know, 3, 4 different dips, but I only did 1, small size. You know, obviously I wish I went bigger. But anyway, I ended up holding into this halt and selling into the resumption, made 30%. Now this is going to be a great bounce short once this comes up. If, you know, anywhere over like $1, I'll be shorting into, because this had, you know, 64 million shares resistance now, so very heavy resistance, and this is going to be a very good bounce short. So on Thursday, I traded CODX for a $40 win, again with my small account, made 9%, entry 1165, exit 12.7, and here are my entries. The daily, this had sold off, and it was having its, you know, its first green day here. Went from $10 all the way to $14. So my assumption was that it's going to go, you know, maybe to like $16 the following day. Would be a good bounce short, and then also a good, you know, shot to a good long to take into the close. So this was above VWAP all day. Basically, morning spike, held its spike, and then just started ramping up. So I just started accumulating on these dips, again, small position with my small account, and then just sold right into this, you know, resistance here at like 13. Oh, either I remember I sold somewhere into here, I forgot. But my bad trade was on PSTI for a $448 loss. This is a crap company. Basically, gaps up, fails every single time. But, you know, this time it actually was able to run, and now it's at its, you know, yearly highs. So the day before, it ended up, you know, having having a short squeezing out any shorts, and right now all the way up to almost $11. But then I started kind of closing weak, so I was like, okay, you know, this could set up for the first trade day tomorrow, because it's overextended, not closing very strong, ended up gapping down, and, you know, and just boom, started selling off. So I got into this bounce here, and then just got squeezed out. You know, there's so much bid here, and I just couldn't understand why. Like, somebody is propping this up. Like, none of this made any sense to me, until I just realized and just made a rule for myself that I'm not going to be shorting anything that's at its 52-week highs until the backside. So that was, I mean, you know, this is an amazing setup here to short this bounce on a first red day. Usually this works very, very well, and this would continue going down the rest of the day, but unfortunately not on this one. So entry 942.5, exit 9.9, 5% loss. You know, hoping for a first red day setup. And then I did the same thing on Friday, same exact setup, and got squeezed out the same exact way for this time an 8% loss. And if we look at the following day, you know, and again, I was thinking about it because this started closing week, so I'm like, okay, now it squeezed everybody out. Now it's the backside, and then after hours it tanked from $9 to $7. Like, when I saw that, I'm like, this is done for sure. There's no way this can recover. Well, what do you know? It opened up at like 8.4, dropped to $7. Almost $1.50 drop. Like, stocks don't recover from that. Not an $8 stock an $8 stock does not recover from a $1 drop or a $2 drop overnight, you know. And I got in on this bounce. and then it held and squeezed higher and higher into the close. So, you know, obviously there's manipulation in the stock. Somebody wants it higher. There was so much, you know, bid here, like right here when it rolled over, how this cracked. This was supposed to crack, but I saw a huge bid just pop up randomly out of nowhere here. Held it every single time this started trying to fall, and then boom, just came up. And then the same exact bid from down here, same exact amount, came in here when it was about to fall, here, 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 and then it just, you know, because they were holding it so well, it just ended up going higher and squeezing all the shorts out again. So lesson learned, not shorting 52-week high stocks, waiting for the backside. But I did have decent trades on CODX for the bounce short, like I was talking about from the, you know, previous day that I played. I went long, you know, into the afternoon, and on Friday here I just played it off the resistance and shorted it down. And I had like 3 different trades on it. Basically I shorted the top here, covered into the pull, reshorted this bounce, covered into this crack, reshorted this bounce, and just covered into end of day. I'm actually holding position overnight as well to see if this kind of gaps down. If you look at the daily, you know, this just huge run here, and every single bounce has just been selling off into. And this is a stronger bounce, but still this volume on this bounce is nowhere near 80 million. It's not even 40 million, you know, it's not half of that. So I'm assuming this is gonna fade back down to like $10. So yeah, guys, that's basically my week. Thanks for watching. My whole goal for the rest of the month is basically to just not overtrade. You know, I've been taking less than ideal setups the past couple weeks, even last week, and you know, I'm finally having to pay for that, and that's because I'm not taking, you know, ideal setups. So I'm just gonna stick to the most volatile stocks, use those. You know, those don't come around every single day, so I'm just gonna be patient. And I still have like, you know, 9-10 days or something to trade in April. So, you know, I'm gonna just capitalize on that with my big account, you know, when those trades do come up. And the other, you know, smaller trades that, you know, I can maybe dabble with, I'll use my small account. But again, I'm not gonna be scalping like I have in the past. I'm basically just gonna be waiting for, you know, a setup to form and playing the bigger picture move and not just, you know, scalping here and there. I'm also starting to track a new setup called the gap and go strategy. You know, this is a Ross Cameron from Warrior Trading on YouTube. If you look him up, this is one of his strategies, but it's basically just buying the pre-market breakout into the open and just riding it up and taking profits. So I'm going to start tracking that, and I'm going to start dabbling in with a little size. I do want to add this to my arsenal. You know, I've been seeing this, you know, for ever since I've been trading, but I've always been really scared to kind of try it because I do see a lot of these fail. So I'm going to start tracking and see and figure out, you know, which ones actually go and which ones will fail. Because I'm a short seller, I know bounce short setups, and I won't be taking, you know, anything with resistance really. And Ross, you know, he'll take those trades, you know, with resistance ahead. So that's why, you know, some of the times it doesn't work for him, and I think I have an edge on that because, you know, again, I'm a short seller and I understand these resistance levels very well, and I play off these all the time. So I have an advantage on that. But yeah, I'm gonna start tracking that setup. I want to add that to my arsenal. But besides that, you know, I'm just gonna try to stay focused, stay disciplined, and, you know, try to finish out this next couple weeks really strong, and try to make at least, you know, 3, 4, or 5 grand if possible. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching. Probably not the most exciting video, not a whole bunch of money to show you guys, but lessons are going to come from your bad trades, and you have to understand that, and you have to really analyze your bad trades, because those are what are going to teach you. Those are going to be the ones that teach you and put rules in place to keep you safe from ever blowing up. So with that said, guys, see you guys next week. Peace.